Hello, welcome back to our oil painting segment with Nexus Wall. We hope you enjoyed joining us in finishing our portrait of the inspirational Emma Watson. This is equal parts painting tutorial and documentary. All of these techniques are the same fundamental basic painting techniques, no matter how advanced it might look. Thus, this is not a tutorial to replicate a difficult work, but to see how the basic techniques can be applied. And that even the most beautiful of work is built with the harmony of simple pieces. It is you who put these pieces together. You who puts these painting techniques together to describe your vision. We are starting with the eyes and working our way out, enhancing the colors and adding details. We are not covering what is there, we are building on it. For thinning paints, I'm using mineral spirits in a dropper bottle. We'll need a few dry brushes for softening and blending, and I'm using a scaper tool that is completely optional to clean up some of my edges. Today will be primarily the red-yellow color spectrum, to give us fast base colors, with which we mix infinite variations of flesh tones. We have basic flesh tint, brilliant red, orange, medium yellow, burnt sienna, and burnt umber. From this we create our red to yellow hue, and into this hue we mix the black, white, and grey color spectrum, giving us our flesh tones. Our black is not true black, but an ivory black which has a subtle red-brown undertone to it. The other black which we could use, Pines Grey, possesses a blue-grey undertone, useful if we want to move the color spectrum along the blue-violet axis. Oil painting will stay wet, so be very careful of where you accidentally touch. This is most of the reason why I like to start at the center of the painting and work my way outwards, so that I don't accidentally rest my hand on a wet part of the painting. Focus on the color of the eyes over the detail. White in oil painting, once I mix in the slightest bit of color, will never go back to white. If I want to go back to white, and it's on the painting already, I have to let it dry and come in with another layer of white. For this reason, I put the white down first and blend other colors into that section. The same goes for very intense colors, not to the same extreme, but the same general plan of placing the intense color and blending and working outwards. If we make a mistake with color or black, it can be scraped down and reapplied immediately, unlike the white, which will still mix with the white that is being applied. I'm repainting the entire eyelash and eyeliner. Oil paint covers well over dry tones, so this can be done very easily and seamlessly. Again, working outwards, placing details and expanding. It is very important to pay attention at all times to the color that is actually on your brush. This sounds very simple, but is so important. The color of your brush changes as you paint. It mixes as you use it to blend colors. It mixes as it meets other sections of oil that are still wet. That's the entire wet on wet technique. You are constantly working with colors that are going, if wet, are going to interact with the colors on your brush. This is why oil paint is so good at blending. It stays wet, and you can continue to work with it until you are satisfied with the results. I did drop my paintbrush all over the painting. These things happen, you can't go back in time and change it, so we'll just do some quick repainting. The wet-on-wet nature of oil painting makes it very fast to reshape surfaces by moving the boundaries of color. In seconds we can reshape the nose, giving us a completely different impression in three-dimensional space. There, just clean up the edge a bit with a dry brush, blend those colors in softly. That looks beautiful. We'll just apply a bit of a crimson tint over the entire cheek to help bring out the color. That just blends right in nice and smooth. Wait to put the final details on the face, the details of the skin, until you are happy with the shape of the face. The reason being, if you decide to reshape the colors of the face, you can save time in repainting details. Oil paint is good at tinting an entire area with vivid color. Unlike watercolor, mixing water to soften the edge when glazing color, no water is needed, and it is only the amount of paint applied that determines the mixture. This can also be applied as a pre-tint, placing color that you intend to mix in with colors above it. Where it stays wet and workable for a long time, you can focus on placing the color down and working with it later. This is where our prep work with the underpainting pays off. We are free to focus completely on the tone of the color without worrying about coverage or transparency. If we have a transparent layer, the vivid colors from underneath show through. So using either multiple layers or thick layers becomes a personal choice rather than a necessity. When filling in large areas of skin, again, just pay attention to the color you have on your brush, determine in your mind what shares that color, and start applying it to those sections. It's just slow building process, placing the color where it needs to go and shaping it. I do another trick here to clean up my edges and make them super crisp. And that's just using a small scraping tool to scrape the edge all the way down to the watercolor layer. This also allows me to remove paint that would otherwise mix with the layers above it. When watercolor painting freckles, we are just matching hue and varying the brightness with the amount of water. With oil painting, again very important to know what color is on your brush. Freckles are such fine details that most of them will not blend with the layers underneath. Most of the time you are depositing small amounts of paint each time you touch your brush to the surface. So instead of mixing with the colors on the painting, we mix our freckles on the palette, keeping in mind that you will probably need much lighter colors than you would first expect. Oil paints have a very real advantage where they are amazing at adding highlights and volume to hair. Watercolor you are building up from the highlights, so the highlights have a natural tendency to sink to the back. Acrylic is possible, but very challenging to do what oil paints accomplish very easily, where the wet-on-wet blending is very natural with oil paints. Acrylic highlights can sometimes look like they are floating. What I'm really looking for is to build volume of the hair. to build layers of light and dark. Think of curtains. You have folds, highlights across the edge, color in the middle, shadow where they layer on top of another. The vibrant colors and highlights form bands of patterns around the same height to each other. Look for a specific color in the hair, such as the bright reflective highlight, and look for the patterns of where that color occurs in the hair. As we get away from the vibrant colors and highlights, you get the natural, neutral colors of the hair and the shadows. For the crown of the hair, I follow my usual oil painting method of expanding out from the most detailed sections. For larger areas of the hair, either the neutral tones or the shadows can be added first. The highlights brush down into the neutral tones, blending, but very much giving the effect of being on top, a highlight, a reflection on the hair from your brightest light source. Faces are very rewarding to paint. It's bringing life to an inanimate, two-dimensional object. If you want to get good at the face comes down to two things: how many times you paint the face, and your focus on improving. I had a professor who loved to say practice makes product. It means how you practice is how you paint. So as you paint, each step allows you to re-examine your process, to relearn, to improve, by paying attention to your subject and thinking, how do I accomplish this? Follow the proportions of your subject. Eyes about midway on the face, top of the eyebrow to top of the ear, lips halfway between the nose and the chin. Follow your subject over the formula. People are extraordinary in the amount variety you find in nature. And others follow their style, transforming their subject. If you want to get good at the eye, paint just the eye, make it big. As you follow it, you will learn it. If you want to get good at the face, paint the face. The more you practice, the better it becomes. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the oil painting process. Like and subscribe. If you want to see how I made the base watercolor painting we started with today, you can check out the process in my watercolor documentary. For all the artists and enthusiasts, really hope you have enjoyed watching.